And we got some breaking news out of the NFL where Sean Payton will be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. That's all according to our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Now, as part of the deal, the Saints will reportedly receive a first-round pick in this year's draft and a second-round pick in next year's draft. Payton was New Orleans head coach from 2013 to 2021 prior to stepping down from that role before this season. And quickly breaking down some of those trade details here. Again, Sean Payton to be the next head coach of the Broncos. To the Broncos, that is Sean Payton for a 2024 third-round pick. New Orleans Saints a 2023 first-round pick, and then 2024 second-round pick. Those are the trade details there. Again, Sean Payton to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. And let's welcome in our senior NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, to talk about Sean Payton. First things first, JJ, is this something you were expecting? Were you expecting Sean Payton to make this move?
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Jacqueline, I was very much expecting Sean Payton to be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. About a week ago, I was still saying that he was the leader in the search for the next Broncos head coach. Then last week, things got a little weird, and Greg Penner, the team's owner and CEO, took a trip to Ann Arbor, and they had done a virtual interview with Jim Harbaugh. Remember, they interviewed, I think, 8 candidates, 7 of them in person. Harbaugh was the one that was virtual. And then Penner took that trip up to Michigan and left without a deal getting done with Harbaugh, or whether a deal was ever going to get done, but at least wanted to meet with the head coach in person. And it seemed over the weekend like the Denver Broncos were going to hit a reset on their coaching search, because ultimately, if you wanted Sean Payton, well, you could have gotten Sean Payton at that point. The Broncos felt that they were one of the best, if not the best, job out there. And so the stalling and the time really started to confuse a lot of folks around the NFL. But here you have it. The guy who was thought to be the leader when all of this started, you know, as soon as Nathaniel Hackett was fired a day after Christmas, you could say Sean Payton's name. In fact, I think you and I were talking on this here program, and I was saying Sean Payton was the leader. But again, last week, these last couple of days, got a little weird. Ultimately, though, what we thought the compensation would be, a first-round draft pick, and then a little something else, is what this turns out to be for the New Orleans Saints, letting go of their future Hall of Fame coach, the only coach who's ever led them to a Super Bowl. And now he goes to the Denver Broncos, a very proud and storied franchise, hoping to turn around their fortunes and get them back into the playoffs for the first time since they won Super Bowl 50 7 years ago.
JJ, the Broncos finishing last in the AFC West, finishing 5-12, and Sean Payton is known for working with quarterbacks. Obviously, the huge Russ Wilson trade and just kind of a disaster that their offense was dealing with. How do you think Sean Payton, or can he, I guess I should say, fix the Russell Wilson situation that's going on in Denver?
Yeah, it's a big problem. We see his numbers right there, and Russell Wilson has got to be better. You know, and talking with folks out there, very clearly you don't trade for Russell Wilson, pay him nearly $250 million in total salary, and expect him to play like a bottom 5 quarterback. But that's what Russell Wilson did. Listen, if folks were to have said before the trade that he had taken a step back, that he wasn't a top 5 quarterback going into the 2022 season, I don't know many people who would have reasonably argued with them. But you still thought he was a top 10, top 12 quarterback. And so he fell off a cliff last year. And you're hoping, if you're Sean Payton, if you're the Denver Broncos, anyone associated with that team, that it was an aberration. That, all right, he may never be a top 5 quarterback again, but if we can get him to that top 10, top 12 tier, we have the guys on defense. Remember, this is one of the best defenses in all of football, up until, of course, that Christmas Day game against the Rams. And so as long as we can just put 20 points on the board, as long as Russell Wilson can play average football from the quarterback position, we'll be able to get enough wins to sniff or get into the playoffs. So that's what Sean Payton is charged with. And obviously he has watched plenty of Russell Wilson film previously, as well as this past year. He, of course, has a plan to fix Russell Wilson. But if that plan does not work out, and I think that has to be well within the realm of possibility. If Russ is cooked, right, then the Denver Broncos can get out of Russell Wilson's contract after the 2023 season. It would be painful from a dead cap perspective. They'd be paying him a lot of money, and he would be on the books for a large portion of the salary cap in 2024 to not be playing for them. But if he has another season like the one he just had, if that happens in consecutive years, I cannot imagine that Sean Payton signed up to just deal with the dead weight that Russ at that point would be, the albatross that Russ would be. And so there would have to be some sort of ripcord that Sean Payton and the Broncos could pull at that point to relieve themselves of Russell Wilson and then find a new quarterback via a trade, via free agency, via the draft. They're not at that point right now. Obviously, you are going to have to make lemonade with what you have, and they just hope that the lemons are still fresh with Russell Wilson.
And JJ, you're talking about the long list of things that Sean Payton might have to do there if it doesn't work out with Russ Wilson. Do you ultimately think this was the right decision for Sean Payton at this point in his career?
Well, of the 5 openings, I thought that it was the best one for Sean Payton. When you talk about ownership, we don't really know how great of an NFL owner the Walton Penner Group ultimately is. They haven't been in place for more than a year for anyone to determine whether they are a good or a bad ownership group. We know that they are willing to spend a lot of money. We know that they are titans of industry via the Walmart franchise, of course. We don't know if they're good owners, and so, but I think that Sean Payton believes that they ultimately will be. They're going to get upgraded facilities. Again, they have a fantastic defense. You have a lot of very, very good pieces on offense. You're in a very difficult division. Let's make no mistake about it, right? You're going to be facing the Kansas City Chiefs twice every year. And when's the last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs? You're going to be facing Justin Herbert, who just got himself a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. You're going to face a Raiders team that, yes, underachieved this past year, but if they get a quarterback, let's say one who happens to be the GOAT, to come out there next year and be a mercenary for a year or two, then, you know, you're going to be, that's 6 out of 17 games that I don't know that the Denver Broncos are going to be favored in just off the bat right there. That's going to be difficult, but everywhere it's hard to win in the NFL. And so Sean Payton, if he wants to be a head coach again, of course he wanted to be. He didn't want to sit out another year. I think anyone who knows how these coaches are wired, it's easy for folks to say, hey, the job's not out there right now, sit out another year. Sean Payton was itching to get back out there on the sidelines and put a headset on. He took what he believed was the best job out there. I personally believe that, you know, there's some pros and cons to all of the 5 jobs. I still believe the Broncos job with Russell Wilson broken down is still the best job if you can stomach bad Russ in 2023. Of course, you throw everything at getting good Russ this upcoming season. But if he doesn't work out, get out of it, get a new quarterback for 2024, and bring those Denver Broncos back to glory.
All right, that is our NFL insider, Jonathan Joins, joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. If you're just tuning in, we are following that breaking news out of the NFL, where Sean Payton will be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. JJ confirming that as well. For more NFL insight, make sure you check out Inside the NFL. New episodes dropping every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You can also stream it on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.